The movie begins with a lady named Catherine. Catherine was remembering her eldest son Nicky, who died in a horrific car accident when he was 16 years old. Catherine has not forgotten her son's death till date. She does not even allow her younger son Brady to go to Nicky's room, and because of this Brady feels very bad. On the other hand, we see a school teacher named Walt, to whom a student named Sherry comes and asks her for help regarding the course. Then can we understand from their words that Sherry was attracted to Walt and Walt likes him too. Further, we get to know one more thing, that Sherry works as a weather reporter for a news channel. In the next scene, we see a boy named Jordy in prison, who was serving a punishment on the charge of car theft. After a few days his punishment is completed, due to which he is released from jail. Outside the prison, Jordy sees his dad Carl, who came to take him home. Further, we come to know from their talks that Jordy does not get along with Carl, and both the father and sons keep fighting. Walt, on the other hand, finds a newspaper cutting of Catherine's son's accident in his house, which he keeps with him. Now in the next scene of the movie, we see Jordy at his house, where Carl gives him a week's time but says that if you do not find any job in this week, then I will throw you out of the house. Jordy's stepmother Elise tries to be friendly with Jordy after Carl leaves for the office. Elise was the same age as Jordy, but Jordy didn't like his stepmother at all because he thought that Elise was only with his dad for money. So Jordy doesn't talk to Elise well and leaves. Thus Walt comes to visit his younger brother Dennis. Here we can understand by the way Dennis talks that his mental condition is bad and he has not come out of his apartment since last 2 years. Dennis is depressed. After that we see Walt talking with Carl. Actually, Carl is a psychiatrist and Walt felt that he had gone into depression. So he came to Walt to get his therapy done. Further, Walt explains the reason for his depression and tells Walt that one night he was driving a car very drunk. My whole family and my younger brother Dennis were in the car due to being intoxicated. I could not pay attention to the road and we had an accident with another car. Catherine's son Nicky was killed in this accident. Also, I saw someone over there with Nicky who was wearing a t-shirt of a basketball player. Just after hearing the full story, Carl understands that he was the basketball player Jordy. That's why he tells Walt that now I will not be able to take your session, listening to which Walt does not understand anything. That's why all of a sudden Carl is behaving so strange. On the other hand, let's look at Catherine. She would often go and sit near Nicky's grave. When there was no one at home in the companion, then she went to Nicky's room and used to cry a lot remembering him. Seeing these antics of Catherine, we understand that she loved him very much and she is unable to forget the grief of losing him. Here Jordy comes to a pizza shop to give an interview, but because he had already been jailed and at the same time he had previously committed petty crimes. Therefore, seeing this thing, the manager refuses to give him work, but after Jordy says too much, the manager agrees and hires him. On the other hand, we see Walt. He was talking to his wife Abby while watching Sherry's weather reporting. Guys, Sherry is the same girl towards whom Walt is very much attracted. Meanwhile, Abby tries to get closer to Walt, but Walt refuses her because he was busy watching Sherry on TV. Now seeing this, we understand that Walt and Abby's married life is not going well and both of them are not happy with each other. On the other hand, when Jordy is giving herself a pleasure in her room, Elise sees him doing it and she immediately comes out of the room seeing Jordy doing this. Then Jordy gets very angry with this thing and goes to sit in that front park. In the park he meets his high school friend Melissa, who tells him that I've seen Nicky's mom Catherine a while back and if you met her. Jordy replies no, so Melissa tells her one more time. She asks to meet Catherine and then he leaves her, invites to the party too. On this side, Abby leaves Walt to go to her sister's house because Walt was not paying any attention to her, and seeing her marriage fall apart she decides to stay out of the house for a while, although Walt tries to stop her, but Abby doesn't listen to him and leaves. After this, Walt meets Sherry at school the next day and both of them talk a lot, and seeing both of them we can understand that both of them have started loving each other. Then in the next scene we see Walt and Sherry having a relationship, seeing which we can understand that from now on the affair of both of them has started. On the next morning when Elise was drying her hair without clothes, then Jordy comes there. Seeing that, Elise immediately puts on a towel and asks Jordy, what are you doing here? Jordy says nothing on this and slowly starts getting closer to Elise. Here Elise does not stop Jordy, after which Jordy has a relationship with her stepmother, but then they hear the sound of Carl's arrival, which Jordy immediately hides in the bathroom. Further on asking Carl, Elise tells that her head is hurting a lot so she was taking rest. Elise then tries to distract Carl by coming close to him, taking advantage of which Jordy sneaks out. Now this is where Jordy's affair with Elise starts. Whenever Carl was not at home they used to spend time together, and this cycle continues for many days to come. A few days later, while the pair were at the pizza shop, Melissa comes over there and there she asks Jordy, why didn't you come to the party that day? On this, Jordy makes an excuse and says that I had a lot of work that day. Meanwhile, the manager arrives and tells Jordy to focus on the task at hand. Hearing this, Melissa leaves from there saying bye to Jordy. Then after nightfall, Melissa comes to drop Jordy to her house, and because it has been a long night, so Jordy invites Melissa to his house. When she enters, Melissa talks about Jordy and Nikki's friendship, due to which he becomes emotional. During this, both of them become very close, but only then Elise comes there. She asks Jordy about Melissa, to which Melissa says that we are high school friends. Hearing this, Elise leaves from there without saying anything. And after she leaves, Jordy also asks Melissa to leave. Seeing everything, Melissa does not understand anything and she leaves from there. Thus, Walt learns that Dennis talks frequently on the phone with a girl named Sylvie and also likes Sylvie, so he one day secretly calls Sylvie to Dennis's apartment. Seeing Sylvie, Dennis tries to hide because for the last 2 years he had not met anyone other than Walt. Sylvie also already knew everything about Dennis' condition, so she tells Dennis that I will stand on the other side of the door and talk to you and make you think that you were talking with me on the phone. Dennis also likes this thing, after which both of them talk a lot for a long time. When Walt sees his brother happy, then he is also very happy because Dennis was also recovering slowly due to Sylvie. Here Melissa and Jordy spend time together, due to which both start liking each other. After this, in the next scene, we see Walt and Sherry talking. Here Sherry tells Walt that a few years ago when you had a car accident, I had come to interview you, but maybe you don't remember that thing now, and the Walt does not like this thing at all, so he leaves from there. Here when Jordy was working, his manager asks him to work quickly. Now Jordy was very much fed up with these actions of his manager, that's why he finally leaves this job and goes from there. He then comes to his house with Melissa, where Elise tries to talk to him. Actually, she was annoyed with Jordy because now he used to spend time with Melissa because of spending time with her, but Jordy doesn't listen to her and leaves with Melissa. That night when Jordy can't sleep, he calls Catherine, and then the next day we see him and Catherine talking. Here we get a complete understanding that Nikki was also in the car that Jordy went to jail for theft. But the idea of stealing the car was Jordy's and not Nikki's. After driving Jordy and Nikki's car, an accident happened with Walt's car, who was driving while intoxicated, but both of them did not know that their accident happened because of the Walt. That's where we see that talking openly about Nikki brings both of them out of their respective guilts, but the burden that has been on Jordy and Catherine's heart for so long is also lightened. Then when she gets home, Catherine burns all of Nikki's belongings because she has realized that she can no longer change her son's death, and now he has to move on in life. After all this, Catherine goes to her younger son Brady and she plans to go on vacation with him for a while. Now because after Nikki's death she stopped paying attention to Brady, but now she wanted to change that. Even Brady is overjoyed when he sees that his mother is paying attention to him. On the other side we see Dennis. He moves out of the house to meet Sylvie for the first time in 2 years. In this way Walt realizes his mistake. He then goes straight to apologize to Catherine, but Catherine says that I know it was because of you that Nikki had an accident that day. So she beats him a lot and then leaves crying and leaves with Brady. Here when Jordy comes home and tries to talk to Elise, Carl comes from behind and starts hitting him because he came to know about their affair. Now Jordy is also upset with his father's actions, so he starts hitting Carl. In both, a scuffle breaks out between the father and the son, but Elise comes there and stops both of them. During the same scuffle, Carl was badly injured, so Elise immediately takes him to the hospital. At the end of the movie we see Dennis having dinner with Sylvie and Catherine was looking happy for the first time in so many years, and then the movie ends. Guys, if you have enjoyed watching this video, please hit the like button and subscribe our channel for more videos. Thanks for watching.